anybody who is a former client of ours, they are getting a birthday card and they are getting a holiday card from us every year, hard copy in their mailbox. And these aren't, Hallmark cards that we're just picking up off the street. These are designed so that that they have our branding associated with them. But the reality is that a lot of people don't get mail anymore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Managing Partners Podcast. I'm Kevin Daisy, and I'm your host as always. And today I have a new friend, Tim Simmeroth, on the show. And I got to meet Tim recently at Ben and Brian Glass's Great Legal Marketing Summit in Phoenix, Arizona. And Tim was just a super nice guy. We went and worked out together. We had dinner, and just great getting to meet him, but also getting to hear him talk up on stage and share really what he's done with his law firm and how successful he's been and teaching others on how they can apply what he's done. So got Tim on here today to share some of that with you, and I think you're going to really like what he has to share. And Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. When I got the invitation, I went down the rabbit hole of listening to a bunch of your podcasts, and so it's a real honor.
I appreciate that very much. Obviously, your friend Ben and Brian have both been on the show, and I'm just excited to add you to the list. So I appreciate you for coming on. So Tim, tell everyone listening, if they don't know who you are, that's crazy. But let's just pretend they don't. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your law firm.
All right. So my name is Tim Simmeroth, and I'm a lawyer from Iowa. And that alone probably makes me unique to a lot of your listeners because Iowa isn't a very big state. We only have 3 million people in the entire state. And so a lot of times, particularly when I'm at conferences like where we met, I'm the first lawyer from Iowa that a lot of people have ever met. But my firm is the largest plaintiffs firm in the state of Iowa. We have locations in 3 cities. We've got 16 lawyers. We've got about 40 support staff. And we do every sort of plaintiff's work imaginable, everything from personal injury to workers' compensation to plaintiff's employment side work. We have lawyers who specialize in nursing home cases, medical malpractice cases. So if it's a plaintiff's case in Iowa, we handle it.
Well, sounds like a good referral opportunity out there for people listening. If you don't handle Iowa and you need a good source, Tim's your guy. So that's a pretty good claim right there. We're the biggest plaintiff's firm in the state. It just happens to be Iowa, which is a smaller state, but still a pretty awesome claim. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we didn't intend for that to happen, but it was kind of one of those things that once you start doing some things pretty well, like for example, my partner Presley is probably one of the premier nursing home lawyers in the country, then all of a sudden you get contacted by other lawyers who want to be part of what you're putting together, and it's just one of those things where, in a state our size, if you aren't doing it all, then, you can't keep everybody busy.
Well, yeah, I mean, to your point, you focus on the right things, you build the firm the right way and focus on that, and doing the hard things, the right way. And boom, you're successful overnight, right? People don't see.
Well, it wasn't overnight. But Yeah.
I think I think normal people, they see success as being like, oh, they're so lucky, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort to do the right things, put the right things in place, to attend things like Great Legal Marketing Summit, learn, go back, apply, go to the next thing, learn, apply, right? Listen to the podcast, and constantly trying to improve your firm. And you're helping more people, right? And you're going to grow.
Absolutely. And all the growth that we've done has been based around talent. So you get the opportunity to bring a lawyer in who's great at employment law. Okay, well, Does that fit within our brand? Okay, let's bring them in. Or you recognize that a lot of your injured workers need help with Social Security disability claims. Can we find a great lawyer who does that and then do that in-house so that we can be a one-stop shop? That's how we've grown. People ask, well, why did you go to this city as opposed to this city? And the answer is always the same, and that is, I had a chance to hire a great lawyer who lives in that city, and that's why we expanded that.
Nice. That's smart. Following kind of that path versus trying to, force it, and get creative with it. So that makes a lot of sense. Well, Tim, kind of when we talked a little bit, and when you were speaking at the summit, you were really talking heavily about referrals and kind of what you have in place to kind of build and strengthen that. And so just really want to get you to talk more about that and share what you've done, and hopefully some lawyers that are listening can learn something from it. So if you want to kick it off and dive into that
Absolutely.
a little bit.
Yeah. So part of it, comes from being in a small state, right? We don't have millions and millions of people who are potential clients for us. And so we really have to take advantage of any opportunity that we have. And so a lot of that comes from, the traditional marketing challenge, right, is to get people to know, like, and trust you. And so who are the people who get you a long ways there towards the sale? And those are your past clients and the lawyers that you've interacted with. And so hopefully you're a good lawyer, right? So your past clients think well of you. Hopefully you're a professional, so the lawyers that you work with or work against think well of you. And then the question is, what can you do to make sure that those people don't forget you? And so let's take it one bucket at a time. So one bucket are your former clients. How do you stay connected to your former clients? And so we do that in a number of ways. First off, anybody who is a former client of ours, they are getting a birthday card and they are getting a holiday card from us every year, hard copy in their mailbox. And these aren't, Hallmark cards that we're just picking up off the street. These are designed so that that they have our branding associated with them. But the reality is that a lot of people don't get mail anymore. And you can probably count on one hand the number of people who still send you birthday cards. And so that's step one, is making sure that we are connected to people that way.
So I send out cards all the time, handwritten. So yeah, it stands out.
Yep. And that's exactly the thing, is the next step are thank you cards. And so we have special branded firm thank you cards, and we actually have a contest with every member of our staff. And that is every time that you send out a handwritten thank you card, whether it's to a vendor, whether it's to a doctor, anybody who you've interacted with professionally, if you send them a handwritten thank you card, your name goes in a drawing, a monthly drawing, and then we meet, as a firm once a month, and we draw out that name, and they get like a $50 gift certificate or something like that. Then what happens is, if you have sent out a handwritten thank you card every month of the year, then you're eligible for an end of the year bonus. And so that's we call it our Operation Gratitude. But the idea is that, like I said, we've got over 40 people under our roof, and all of them are sending out cards, handwritten cards to people, reminding them who we are and hopefully reminding them why they like us.
If you do the math right there,
so then,
40, that's a lot of cards going out.
Absolutely. So then the third step is our newsletter program. And so And this comes from lessons that I learned from Ben Glass over 20 years ago. Everybody who has ever reached out to our firm to get a consult, they've been a client of ours, anybody who we have a mailing address for, they go on a mailing list, and once a month they get a hard copy, glossy 4-page newsletter. And it primarily is consumer information, it's sort of Reader's Digest type stuff. There's always a recipe from a member of our firm. There will occasionally throw in things like a really good Google review we received. And there's one article per month that is actually related to the work that we do. But the idea is that every month we are invading their mailbox. And even if all they do is sort their mail over the wastebasket, and they say, "Oh yeah, those are those lawyers from Iowa," and they flip it over and throw it away. Even if they don't read it, they remember who we are. Hopefully, they remember the way we treated them. So if something bad happens to them, their family, their loved ones, we're going to be the people that they think of and that they recommend.
That's awesome. I love that. Definitely a Ben Glass lesson right there. And we look into that ourselves. So I love that. That's going on every time. So kudos on that. And any recommendations? Do you use someone?
Yeah,
local?
Because you're.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We do. We use a local printer who mails those out. And this is all automated, right? We don't have people licking stamps in the office. We hire that out. We have vendors who send out the cards, who send out, we design the cards. The only thing that's being handwritten are the handwritten thank you notes that the staff members send out. But putting that system in place, it's all being run by our marketing director. And, the goal is that anybody who's interacted with us is never going to forget us. And they don't go off the list unless they call and say they want to be off the list, or we get a response back that they've moved or died. And that's the way that we, in the words of Dan Kennedy, put a fence around our herd to make sure that they don't, stray over to some other lawyer when they need somebody like us.
Smart. I love it. I mean, I'm a digital marketing guy, but this stuff makes sense. It works. And, if you're, just billboards and TV and all that stuff, but you have a customer that you're sending something to their mailbox, to their home on a regular basis. Everyone has things happen in their lives or friends or family that are going to need someone like yourself. So I think it's a great remarketing tool. So awesome. What's next on the list? Today's episode is brought to you by Answering Legal. Now I just switched my company, Array Digital, over to Answering Legal, and it's made my life a whole lot easier. If I can't get to the phone, their 24/7 virtual receptionists take the call and take them through a full intake process, so we never miss new business again. Now, Answering Legal has been at this for more than a decade, and they specialize in answering phone calls for law firms like yours. They even have a brand new, easy-to-use app, and they integrate with all the top legal softwares and platforms. So, for my listeners today, we actually have a special deal of a 400-minute free trial offer of Answering Legal services that you can try out by going to answeringlegal.com/array. You can also call 631-437-4803 and use special code DAISY. That's my last name, DAISEY. So go check them out, and let's get back to the show.
Well, and don't get me wrong, we do e-newsletters too. Those go out. that's a great way to drive those people who are on our list to our blog. Typically our e-newsletters are, have links to bring them to our website, to our blog, so that we're connecting with them that way too. But the reality is that all of our email inboxes are probably overstuffed, and fewer and fewer people are taking the time to put a stamp on an envelope and sending it out. And so that's where we think there's the opportunity to maintain that relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree. I send out a podcast, like an email for this podcast every Thursday to like 3,500 lawyers. Do they all open it? No. Do they all click on it? No. And so it's consistent, but hitting the mailbox, the real mailbox, I think is that extra step that most people don't take. So kudos on that.
Yep. So that's the first bucket. Those are the general public, right? And then we have the lawyers who refer us cases. And, as anybody in the legal industry knows, your best cases are referrals from other lawyers. They've been vetted. People have probably reached out to a lawyer that they trust. And if they're making a recommendation that person then speak to you, they're pre-sold before they get to you. And so the question then becomes, how do you make sure that that their heads aren't being turned by the latest lawyer to come into town, or the latest guy or woman to get a great verdict, and so we do that in a couple of ways. First of all, we have what we call our Mavens program. And again, this is an idea that I learned at Ben Glass's Great Legal Marketing, which is we identified the lawyers who consistently send cases to us, and they're on this list. And what we do is we try to identify gifts that we can send to them once a quarter, maybe one time a year, it's a food item. Maybe one time a year, it's a book, that one of the partners has signed. Maybe it's a piece of firm swag, but just something that they're getting, not dependent. It's not in relation to a particular case that they referred, but they're just getting it, reminding them, who we are. So it can be anything from, I think, the most recent thing was beach towels, with our firm logo on it. Other people have really liked the barbecue tools, or blankets, or things like that. So sending out those Mavens gifts is helpful, because even in the contingency fee world, where in Iowa referral fees are commonly paid out in personal injury cases, paying out a referral fee is just table stakes, right? I mean, they assume that they're going to get that from anybody. So what can you do to create goodwill with those folks? So the Maven program is something we've been doing for years. And then if you still want to hear me ramble, I'll tell you about the latest thing that we're doing to try to stay connected to the lawyers in Iowa.
Well, for sure. Definitely want to hear that. I like the Mavens program. And I think, do you have like a committee where you're kind of planning out, hey, what's the next quarter's gift, and kind of needing to kind of structure that whole thing?
Yeah. So it's a committee of two. It's our marketing director, she brings me ideas, and then I look at things, and then, occasionally we'll ask the other partners, cause we want something that's nice, right? I mean, we don't want the kind of junk that you pick up, when you're walking by a table at a conference. You want something that is nicer than that they're going to keep, that they're going to hold on to. And so, that's challenging, particularly when you're sending those out 4 times a year. But the cool thing is that every time we send out Mavens gifts, we tend to get a thank you note from at least one person. There was something about that gift, whether it was, a book that really inspired them, or, a set of emergency lights that they can put in their wife's trunk, in case she has car trouble. those are the sorts of things that cause people to write to us. And you figure, gosh, if they're writing thank you notes, they're not going to forget us when a good case comes through their door.
Well, I mean, you're consistent too, right? So every quarter, like, oh man, there's another gift from these folks. Like that's dedication. Pro tip for anyone listening: if you're not where Tim's at or have a system in place, there is a company out there called Giftology. You can Google them, but they do kind of this program for you, and they have like pre-selected gifts, like nice knife sets and all kinds of customized stuff. But we've used them in the past. But Giftology is kind of like if you don't have a team in place or you want to do this internally or not branded with your brand, it's something you can look at.
Very cool.
So what's the latest and greatest?
Here,
what else we got?
Yeah. So 2024, I decided that I wanted to come up with a new way to connect with the lawyers in Iowa. And so it started by becoming purposeful with LinkedIn. And so I had never been, I've been at the same firm for 26 years. I hadn't looked for a job, so I didn't really appreciate the value of LinkedIn, and enough smart people recommended that I look into it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna spend 2024. So here's what we've done. I have committed to posting information that I think is useful and valuable to attorneys or just interesting to attorneys on LinkedIn 3-4 times a week. And then I've made an effort to connect with as many lawyers as I can on LinkedIn, to share that content. What we do then is we look at the engagement rate from what we post, and then we turn the best posts into a twice a month e-newsletter that goes out to every lawyer who we have an email address for. And so a lot of the things that people are interested, appear to be most interested are just kind of the law firm marketing issues or management issues that we just deal with the firm our size, maybe tech tips, things like that. So we do an e-newsletter, and then once a month, and here was the cool thing, is that as a member of the Iowa State Bar Association, I am entitled to a mailing list of everybody else in the Bar Association once per year. So that means I'm able to get access to a mailing list of 5,000 lawyers in the state of Iowa. And so what we started doing in the first quarter of 2024 is we take the most popular articles from the LinkedIn posts, from the print or from the e-newsletter, and we do a one-page front and back print newsletter that we call Firm Foundations, and we mail that out. And it's amazing to me the response we're getting. I mean, we're getting prosecutors, we're getting elderly trust and estates lawyers coming up to us at bar events saying, hey, I really like that article, or hey, I that was an interesting approach to how to recruit new people in your firm. Have you tried doing this? And so that's what we've been doing in 2024. And I'm happy to announce that we've seen an increase in the number of referrals that we're getting from other lawyers. And a lot of that is, I think, just being top of mind.
That's awesome. I love that a lot. So I'm big on LinkedIn. We're now connected, and I'm seeing Tim comments in his posts and interacting with a lot of the same lawyers that I'm connected with. But I love the idea that you're posting it, getting the response, and taking the best content to then use and get in front of people that didn't see it yet. So very smart. That's a great idea. So that's pretty cool. And LinkedIn's a good place to hang out. A lot of lawyers are on there. So if you're a lawyer looking to increase your referrals and build relationships with lawyers, it's great. And I think most lawyers think it's just for a job or for hiring people, and that's definitely not the case. It's been it's worked very well for me, that's for sure. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, I mean I was one of those lawyers. As recently as 2023. I thought LinkedIn was a place, but that you go to when you need a job or you need to hire somebody. And what somebody very smart explained to me is that the average age of people who are active on Facebook is getting older than the bananas on your counter, and Twitter is really kind of a dumpster fire. That I love Twitter because I like it to get Iowa Hawkeye sports news, but the thing is that I have to wade through probably 10 posts that Elon Musk wants me to see before I can find out whether or not the wide receiver that we made an offer to is going to be visiting Iowa City. And so everybody said, it's like, hey, people are migrating to LinkedIn. And the great thing is that, and I see this with my own kids. I have 2 kids in college, 1 kid who's in high school, is that, back when we were in school, they would teach you how to make a resume, right? Now, all these schools are teaching their kids and requiring their kids to make a LinkedIn profile. And so you have this perpetually current system with LinkedIn. And so that's why I've spent a lot of time on it this year. And, selfishly, Kevin, one of the most exciting things about being able to be on this podcast was I thought, holy cow, I bet I'll get a whole bunch of new friends on LinkedIn if I talk to Kevin.
There you go. Yeah, go connect with Tim on LinkedIn. When Tim was up on stage, they had like a panel at Ben Glass's event in Phoenix. And from the stage, I was in the very back, and I had just got, I think, to the conference because I took some employees. We have some employees from Array Digital in Phoenix. Took them to lunch, then came to the conference. You guys were on stage when I walked in, and I sat in the back with Brian. And I remember you go, hey, if you're on LinkedIn, go right now and connect with me. And that's when I went and connect. I didn't even know who you were yet. So I went and connected with you, and like later that day you accepted it, I think. But yeah, LinkedIn is great. I mean, I spoke to an entrepreneur class, a high school, of about 5 or 6 years ago, as a business owner. They're like, hey, can you come in and speak to our class? And I was like, well, what do you want me to talk about? And they're like, talk about entrepreneurship And I went in there and I just talked about LinkedIn and said, listen, if you want to start a company, if you want to work for someone, it doesn't matter. Get on LinkedIn. And like, who has it? 0 kids even knew what it was. Now, this is high school, about 4 or 5 years ago. And I showed them how to set it up, how to leverage it. And I was like, where else can you go and connect with Tim as a brand new, like a law student, and he connects back with you, and you can message Tim and say, hey, I want to work for your law firm. Like where else can you go to the CEO or the owner of a company and say, hey, instead of going to the bottom and trying to work my way up, how about you go right to leadership? Like LinkedIn can allow you to actually pull that off. And so for the young kids, I'm like, imagine the power of that. If you have a good profile that you're active and show, that you're willing to put in the time there, someone like a Tim or me or whoever will be likely to connect back with you. You have a following, you have connections. It's like, so how powerful that can be.
Absolutely. And I learned from looking at smart people like you on LinkedIn, and the real secret is like giving value, right? I mean, it's not social media in the sense that you're, posting pictures of, what you ate for lunch, or, just bragging all the time about, hey, we just did this or did that. There can be a place for those things. But the people who I enjoy reading, are people like you who are putting, cutting edge information out into the world that I clearly thought was interesting, or I wouldn't have connected with you.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good lawyers. Like I'm a marketer, right? But lawyers are my clients. But I follow so many lawyers that are friends of mine, like Chris Early and Lloyd Bourgeois, and a lot of other members of GLM that post really just awesome stuff. And it's not just even law firm specific; it's applicable to anyone in business. So there's just really good content out there, and LinkedIn is just that. It's valuable content that people can pull from, or otherwise there's no place for you there. It's almost like, like my city where I'm at in Virginia Beach. If you open a restaurant and it's just going to be bar food and crap fried stuff, you will not cut it. It won't work. Like you have to have local, fresh, creative new stuff for it to even be successful. And so, kind of similar to LinkedIn, right? So if you don't have good content and you're just trying to sell stuff the whole time, it's not going to work out. So good place to hang out.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that, what you share with people, that they will then develop, beliefs about you. They'll grow to like you or grow to trust you if you're giving out good content. And that's the key, right? Is that, I mean, for somebody like me, my goal is that when somebody thinks of a legal issue, that they think of me, that they think of my firm, because if we can't help them with it, I know, almost every lawyer in the state, it seems like, and I can connect people with the right people. And so that's the best way to, I think to use LinkedIn is just to develop an audience of people who know, like, and trust you.
Spot on. That's a great way to put it. And I think more people need to get on LinkedIn and take it serious. I don't care what your position or job is. But to me, it's important. And I look at employees' LinkedIn's and are they involved? Are they passionate about what they do, or is it just a resume? And so, yeah, great place. And glad you're on LinkedIn. Welcome to the party. And everyone, definitely go connect with Tim. And if you're not, or you don't know how to find him, reach out to me. You can message me, and I will make the introduction. Well, Tim, yeah, I mean, I appreciate you sharing. I mean, these are tactics that most firms are not doing. The things that he talked about here today, the traditional stuff, the handwritten cards, the gifts. I think we all focus on digital and, e-newsletters and stuff like that. And as a digital guy, again, that's great because you can track stuff. But my inbox is solid full of crap, and I can't look at all of it. So you got to stand out. You got to do things differently, and I think what Tim's doing is a great lesson here. So I appreciate you sharing today.
A pleasure to be here, and I'm going to keep following you and keep learning cutting edge digital stuff from you, both online, but hopefully in person again soon.
Yeah, hopefully to see you soon. I'm going to be off by the time this comes out, Mardi Gras in San Diego, but definitely looking forward to next year. GLM. Great event that Ben and Brian put on. So if you've never been to Great Legal Marketing, check them out. Tim's obviously learned a lot from them, and he's applied it. So you'll get to hear Tim speak, I'm sure, again if you go next year. But everyone out there, yeah, it's all about connections. LinkedIn and Tim, it's all about being that connector, that resource, and that is where you're gonna build value and then be recommended. So Tim, good stuff. Everyone out there, listen to what Tim has to share today, and go grow your law firms and do it the right way. So we'll see you soon. Tim, thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Bye, everybody.